Hello, good day to all of the viewers. This is Lorenzo Leonardo of the Enzotech Computer Solutions. Today, I will discuss to you uh, a simple snake game that I've created using C++ via Windows console. So, I'm using Visual Studios 2022, and in this game, it will be outputted into a Windows console. So in this case, I created objects, no? So I have the snake object, the food, and the main game itself. So let's talk about the food first, no? So actually, the food and the snake have a base class. I call it C position because they have a uh, common members. Example, this one, because the food depends on its XY position, the height of the screen, the console screen, and to get the current position of that uh, the food. At the same time, the snake also. So in this case, let's talk about the food. So in the food object, there is what I call create food. The this function or member function will generate a random XY position in the console. So what you can see here, the initialization of the object and the create food function. And in the snake, I have this snake object. We have this functions. No? We have is the snake still alive? To get the current coordinates of the tail and the head and the direction. What's the current direction of our snake and the length of the snake? No? So we also have functions here because if you think about the snake knows how to crawl. The snake will grow every time when the snake feeds the food, and we can set the direction where the snake is going. And we will also check if there is a collision within its body, because when there's collision, the game will end, just like the common snake game. So let's go to the functions. So this is the initialization of our object. So by default, the I have a snake uh, that is a length of five characters initialized. The so this is the function in checking the body if there is collision, if the head collides with the body. So that is why I also put here is a live member of this class, so that it will be easily uh, determined if the snake is still alive. I have this is alive function, and we have this function grow. So every time after the snake eats the food, So this method or function will receive that position, or that current position where that food was being eaten, and it is added to its body so that the snake will grow and and adjust the tail to the current position of that food that was being eaten. And I have a checking here, length is greater or equal to the screen size x times y. So this is the game will end when all of the, if you are a very pro player, all of the screen are filled, then the game will end. So the snake will die. That's why the flag becomes false. So in the crawl function, so the crawl, it will receive what is the direction of the snake, because every time you key press the keyboard's arrow keys, when this function is called, we will set what direction it is going. So as you can see, it's going to the right. So I have an algorithm here that that we will always start with the tail, meaning that the end of the vector, so that we can transfer all of those, and we can traverse, or what we call, uh, so that the snake will crawl. So you add every time it goes to the right, so the x position will increase because it is going to the right. And I have an algorithm here that when it reaches the maximum length of the screen, it will go back to 0. So the output of this snake later on will just go back. Let's say go to the right, it will go back to the left. The snake will just pass through. That's my uh, requirements of the game, so that it won't die when it reaches the end of the screen. So also the direction is left. So here's an algorithm. Goes up, this algorithm. Goes down, this algorithm. And every time after this curl function, there is always a checking if there is a body collision. Because once there's a body collision, so the game will end. We will set the snake object is alive to false, meaning the snake dies. So this is the snake method, the snake object. So this is the main game. So since this is a console application, we have is the main int main, and I created an object, the C main. This is where the game is played. So in the C main, we initialize the area. What is this initialized area? So this is initialization of the console area, or the console window. So I'm using Windows API so that we can handle it correctly, because what I want is to disable the resizing the console window. So that is why I call in the set window long. Uh, I have some bitwise operation here that will set the style so that it won't be resized. So that what you will see later, only the maximize, or we can disable it, the resizing of the console application. So what I did here is to get what's the current window size. get window size and set it so that there will be no resizing happening when the console is launched. That's the point of this initialize area. So once after initialization of the area, we will now start the game. So I call the run function. So in the run function, so we created the objects, no? The important objects, the food and the snake. So I defaulted it to the right because in this program, the snake will start at the upper left of the console, going to the right. So after that, I call in draw food. So we will draw the food. So in the draw food, so we have, since we already created that object, we will call here create food, the one that I discussed a while ago, that will generate a random XY position. And what is this go to XY? Since C++ don't have the C, the old C style that has go to XY, so I created a function called go to XY. So I'm calling in the Windows API again for the console. Since I was already created the console handle when I initialize the area, so I will just call this the set console cursor position. So this will set the position for the next thing to be printed. So we'll set the XY position. That is why every time you call this before the C out, it will go to that specific position where that food is created. Okay, it's very simple. After that, we have an infinite loop. In fact, this is not infinite loop because we will check if the snake is still alive and we will listen for key press. So what I did is uh, for the listen key press, I'm using the get asynchronous key state so that while doing the infinite loop, anytime I could press without uh, I could press the keyboard without interruptions, and after pressing it, whatever key, I drop it here. So if the current direction of the snake is going to the right, it should not be going to the right if I am pressing left, so that your snake will not go back to the opposite direction because it is not the requirement of the snake program. So here it is. And if I press escape, it will return false. Once this becomes false, this loop will end and the game will terminate. And if the snake die, so this loop also terminate. So if we check is alive, then we will draw the snake. So we will draw. So draw the snake here. So we delete the old trailing character so that there will be no trailing character that will remain. And here in my program, I just printed my name. And we will let the snake crawl. Every time we draw, we let the snake crawl. Okay? Always remember, don't forget to let the snake crawl for that the snake to move. And we will print the location of that snake. Okay? And print it out. It's very simple since because if you are programming through object-oriented design, it's really easy to program. And there's a checking here. If it has eaten, meaning if the head of the snake in the food, if the head of the snake reaches the food, so it will go inside this if statement. So we'll get the XY position of the food and pass it to the snake because the snake eats the food. So the snake will grow. Okay, it will grow by one length. And again, we will draw the food. So once we call draw the food, so another food will pop up in a random XY position. I think that's all. That's a very simple program. Thank you and have a great day, everyone. So let's try to run the program. So here's the program. Here's the running program. So let's play. As you can see, the snake will just, if it reaches the end, it will just go back. So in my case, this snake will not die when it reaches the end of the screen. Yes, the snake is growing there. You see, it's growing. So let's try to hit the body of the snake there. The program ends because the snake died. I think that's it. Thank you and have a great day.